All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I decided to sort of change up this live stream, make it a little different, um, and actually respond to someone who responded to my response. Okay, let's just make that clear. I didn't start this. I'm not the instigator. I'm not the aggressor. No, I'm not. That would be the writer herself, along with the doctor. And you can also place some of the blame on the hospital. The doctor giving this advice, she's their doctor. So you put information out for the public. You cannot be offended when people question it. You don't mind if people agree. Well, you have to also accept criticisms. First of all, welcome. I don't want to hurt you. Don't feel intimidated. I want you to feel welcome on this channel because I want your feedback. Because if your information is flawed, people are going to see it for themselves. I don't have to be aggressive and mean and nasty toward you. Okay, so it's out the door. I mean you no harm. And I'm not trying to disrespect you. I have a genuine objection to the information that you've put out here. That's all this is. I'm exercising my rights, my constitutional rights. Big shout out to everybody in the house. See BK Born in here. Good to see you, Squirrel. Ashar, always good to see Ashar up in here. So let's get into it. I don't want to keep anyone up. Now, the writer of this article, let me say first of all, yesterday I responded to this article. Article is titled, "Does Your Child Know Their Dog Manners?" Subtitle, "Teaching Children the Proper Way to Interact with Dogs Can Help Reduce Their Risk for Dog Bites." Now, this was written by Carly Kuchova, and this is the young lady who left a response to my video, but she deleted that response. I got a screenshot of her response before she deleted it. I don't know why she deleted it, but it's no longer there. That's also unfortunate. So I took offense to the misinformation in this article, the way it goes on and on about children's behavior. And all I said is I watch the videos. I look at the footage of dog attacks on kids, and I keep up with the articles, the reports. They surface every day. I look at the details. I read the entire reports, all of them. I mean, how many do you think we cover in a week here on this channel? Has to be, at least 40, 30 to 40 dog attacks I'll touch on per week on average. And I'm telling you, as a person who keeps up with this, dog attacks on children, they are never preceded by children doing anything to these mutants. Excuse me. Let me not refer to them as mutants. I don't want this to come off as an emotional tirade. The attacks are never preceded by children doing anything to them. Ma'am, I've been keeping up with dog attacks now for going on 7 years. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, she said some other things. She said, when greeting a dog, ask for permission. And, ma'am, all I'm saying is I've covered numerous stories where kids got permission. The dog sometimes is even still on a leash and the child is still attacked. This does not keep anyone safe. This only increases the likelihood that you'll be attacked. If you simply walk on the other side of the street, decide not to go near the dog, your chances of being attacked are much lower than it would be if you asked for permission to pet that dog and proceeded to pet it. Now your chances of being bitten are far higher. You cannot logically say that their chances of being attacked is reduced if they're walking up to dogs to pet them. On so many levels, that just is false. Be calm and approach the dog slowly. Ma'am, dog attacks are never preceded by a child walking fast towards the dog. They are just not. And bottom line is, kids can walk as fast as they want. We should not be telling kids to be calm, move slow, restricting their natural freedoms they have as a human being, simply because the dog wants to attack them when they move. Basically, when they prove that they're a living organism. Number 3, before petting the dog, allow the dog to see and sniff your hand. To do this safely, hold your arm low and make your hand into a ball or completely flat with your palm up. Ma'am, this does nothing to keep a child safe. They would be much safer if they did not go even within a 50-foot radius of the dog. Stay away from dogs. It's that simple. Kids are never attacked because they tried to pet the dog in a bad way or offensive way. Where are you getting this from? And again, a dog, especially these large dogs, it doesn't matter if they ball their fist up or hold it flat. What difference does that make? If the dog wants to attack them, their whole arm is going to get bitten. That is so wrong, okay? This is not a personal attack. You are just putting out, you and your company or whatever, you as the blogger, and you made an article based on the things that she said. So I'm at least talking to both of you, the blogger and the doctor. This is misinformation, okay? Yes, I've covered stories where kids have had their whole arm bitten off. You know full well a child's arm can fit inside of a dog's mouth, and even if it can't, dogs will simply latch onto your arm anyways. No matter if you holding your fingers out. What kind of foolishness is that? Moving on. After the dog has sniffed your hand, pet the side of the dog's neck, chest, and body. Again, now you are at a much greater risk of being bitten. Your chances of being attacked would be far lower if you simply did not go anywhere near the thing. Do you really want kids to be safe or not? If you do, then give them the proper advice. It's that simple. They'll respect you when they see that what you told them to do works. And they won't respect you when they get attacked after doing everything you said to do. Now let me stop here. Let me pause here, and I'll come back to this article. I want to hammer this point home with one of the best videos I've ever shared on this subject. And that is this video right here of a dog trainer at his dog training facility, where he is trying to train these dogs to not want to attack a child unprovoked, a child who is not doing anything to them. And before I show you that, I want you to read what this trainer wrote, okay? Can y'all see this? This is from my weekend dog training seminar. Wait a minute. Let me make sure everything is okay. Is everything okay? Are we good here? We should be good. Everything should be good. I'm sorry. I just made somebody a moderator. I don't know who. But if you'd rather not be a moderator, just let me know and I'll remove your wrench. I believe it's a member. Okay, you see that, right? This is from my weekend dog training seminar in Providence. Okay. He goes on. He says, let's go full screen for this. This is a great distraction exercise for dogs to not be concerned about environmentals. This is a great distraction exercise for dogs. They're trying to get the dog to not want to attack the child, trying to distract or train the dog against its natural instincts. It goes on. So all the dogs need to do is not pay attention to the child in a negative way. And it's a shame that I have to decode this stuff because he's speaking in code language. All the dogs need to do is not try to attack the child. That's basically what he's saying. Okay. This is the afternoon of day 2. Most of these dogs struggle with reactivity issues. No, he's saying most of the dogs, as soon as they see a child, they attack them. That's what that means. Getting them to ignore the child, to not want to attack the child, is the goal. Dogs have a natural desire to attack children. Children don't have to do anything to them. All they have to do is be present. Their presence triggers the dog. We all know this. I don't know why you cannot run this. You have to change with the time, people, or we're just going to leave you behind. Now listen to what this man says.
The goal of this exercise is there's about 17 dogs lined up. There's about 8 on each side of Angelo. And a lot of these dogs, what they do is whenever they see a fast-moving kid or even just a young kid, they're reactive. It could be as simple as breaking command.
Reactive. Whenever they see a kid, they want to attack the kid. That's what he's saying. So you have trainers all over the country who hold classes for so-called reactive dogs. What this is classes to try to train the dog away from its natural instinct to want to attack a child when they see one. Let's continue.
To staring, to growling, to lunging, to try to bite. So this is at one of my seminars in Providence, Rhode Island. And what the goal is, the dogs, all we need them to do is not care. That's it. So Angelo will do normal Angelo stuff, and he's jumping over this little inflatable balloon here, this bone, and he spins around, and he talks, and I talk with him. And all the dogs need to do is just not respond.
Just not want to attack the child. This is pathetic. There ain't nothing cute. And if you don't see the seriousness in this, something is very wrong with you. How much more dangerous does a so-called pet have to be before you consider it unacceptable? That's my question.
That's it. If they are in a down, if they are in a sit, I know you can't see a wide angle of this, but...
See there? Dog growls to the left. This dog growled. This child is not paying any attention to this dog.
Now the dog at the left just growls. So
and it got corrected. They yanked on the leash. This is what the film shows. This is what I'm trying to point out. The film shows that dogs want to attack kids unprovoked. They see them and simply want to attack them, just like they want to attack smaller dogs.
So the owner
or other dogs, period.
Pulled the dog back. Now what we're doing is we're setting this up. So
and
instead
really,
of pulling the dog,
the child is they have a stronger desire to attack the child than they do each other. They're not fixated on other dogs. They're fixated on the child. That's why when multiple dogs attack, they're all attacking the child. The dogs are not attacking each other, trying to fight other dogs off the child. None of them are trying to save the child. They all join in and mutilate the child. Okay? These are pack predators. That's what they do. Their whole nature is to attack unprovoked. What are you even talking about?
Back, there has to be a punisher there. The big misconception is that if you
look at this black dog licking its lips, it's ready to eat.
Punish the dog. So watch what happens right now. You'll see the dog just jerk.
They had to shock one dog with the electric collar just then.
Backwards, and that's because the dog did get a remote collar correction. I'm explaining that.
So this man, all he has to do is bring a child and tell the child to not pay the dogs any attention, put a row of dogs on one side and another row on the other, and then you have dogs needing to be shocked, yanked, people pulling on the leashes, electrocuting them, all to get them to stop wanting to attack the child. They're basically lining the dogs up and just smacking the dogs around. They're basically punishing the dogs for wanting to attack the children. And this type of training is worthless. Because all this means is that the dogs won't attack the child when you are present. Soon as you look away or leave the room, they will attack.
Right now to the owner. There's a lot of misinformation that if you correct a dog for growling at a kid, it'll just go silent and all of a sudden bite without any warning. And I do address that in a video that's in this video coming up. So you'll be able to hear my thoughts on that.
Now this is heavy. Look at what he wrote. He said, you can correct a growling dog. There's a big difference between Anglo walking up to the dog and it growling and Anglo being a few feet away and ignoring the dog and growling. I think he had a bit of a typo there. Look at this. It says your dog should be able to deal with children that are not directly putting pressure on the dog. Therefore, it is a choice. Dog made a wrong choice. It needs to be corrected. He is admitting that children can not pay any attention to the dog at all, and the dog will want to attack them. This is literally an admission to that. He's saying your dog should be able to not want to attack kids if those kids are not doing anything to them. In other words, it should be able to function like a normal organism. Yeah, that's how everything else behaves. You mind your own business, we mind our business. But dogs are so aggressive and bloodthirsty, they want to attack just to attack, just for sport. Again, refer to all of these livestock, goats and lambs and llama, that get attacked basically every night, where dogs go through and just kill them and don't eat any of them. Kill them just for sport. Dogs are the only creatures that do that. Now read this. The dog will not have a negative association with children if you correct them for growling. That's what he's talking about. The dog won't have a negative association with children if you correct them for growling. The dog already has a negative association with children. Do you see what he wrote here? And then he said it will learn how to have better coping skills with kids. He's basically admitted dogs already want to attack children. They already have a negative association with children. You don't have to punish the dogs for growling for them to associate children with punishment / something negative. The dog already wants to kill the child. And that's why these stories keep popping up nonstop. And they're all unprovoked. That's why every dog attack on a child I've covered on this channel and my other channel, every single one going back some 7 years, unprovoked, all unprovoked. It's because dogs naturally want to attack them. It's no different from when the dogs see a small animal and go straight after them, attack. Small children are like the same trigger. And that should make sense to everybody. Nobody should be so dense that they don't understand that.
So what you're going to see now is you're going to see that spaniel that's lying down, staring with intensity. We call it loading at Angelo. And you're going to see the owner correct the dog right there. So
the dog was loading. It was preparing to attack in that moment. Now, these dogs have had to be corrected numerous times within a matter of maybe a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. Multiple times they've had to been restrained. And not one time did you see that child do anything to those dogs. Now, is that true or not? The child didn't pull on the dog's ear like you say they do all the time. Didn't make fun of it, tease it, didn't do nothing. They've instructed this child to ignore the dogs. And they literally have had to restrain the dogs, keep them back from attacking the child. So what on earth are you talking about? You're the professional. And see, this is why she asks me, or this is what I believe, said, hey, you should have emailed me. No, you didn't share that information through an email. You made it public. You're trying to influence the public. So that needs to be publicly checked. You know how the game works. Yeah, it don't work like that. Send you a little email. Yeah, you're the professional. You're the one supposed to be telling us the truth.
That was a correction.
Dog was corrected for staring and was startled by the remote. It was a punisher and should be uncomfortable. So he's basically just having these dogs punished. And he's not telling that it would be different. And shouldn't he instruct the child to tease the dogs, since that's what you all say that kids do all the time? Shouldn't he instruct those kids to tease them or do something to them, to pay attention to them at least? He's instructed this child to ignore them, to pretend that they're not there. So he's not even replicating what you all say happens all the time, which is that they are teasing or you're pulling on its tail. No, he's instructing this child to ignore those dogs because he knows full well that dogs attack them because they just want to attack them. He is replicating reality in this moment. And everybody knows it. That's the thing. So when they come out with this rhetoric of, oh, I had no idea something like this could happen, let me start a GoFundMe. Oh boy. Whoo. This is heavy. This is heavy. Ma'am. And let me also clarify something else.
Yeah, come here.
This man has numerous sessions, as you could imagine, where he's trying to train dogs away from their natural instinct to want to attack children. And again, he always replicates reality, which is a child not doing anything to the dog, anything at all. But notice, he is always present. This man is always present. So this type of training is actually worthless. I don't care how impressive you think it looks. As soon as this man is not there, or if he's looking away or anything, that's when the attacks happen. I've made a whole video about how dogs do that, do exactly that. They'll wait until the authority figure leaves or looks away, becomes occupied with something else, and then they'll launch an attack or steal something. I know you all familiar with that. You look away, turn away, you get up and walk away, the dog eats your sandwich. They will attack in that same way. Very cowardly, demonic, right? Deceptive creatures. So this type of training is worthless. And this article that you wrote, Carly Kuchova, is full of a bunch of misinformation shared by Susan K. Yeager. Okay, that's just the fact. And as I pointed out, they went on to talk about what to do if you're approached by an unfamiliar dog. And you know the rhetoric, be a tree, don't run, don't stare at it, right? If it attacks you, turn into a ball, the usual, cover your face and neck. How insane is that? Who in the world tries to instruct toddlers and little kids to be perfectly still when approached by a dog? You got a big Rottweiler running up to a toddler. You really expect a child to be a tree? Are you out of your mind? You don't believe in rhetoric like that for real. In your heart, you know full well that is a bunch of nonsense. But you said, hey, that's what they've told me to say, so that's what I'm going to say. No, that's not how evolution takes place. I refuse to, be stagnant with you all. Okay, so that's ridiculous. This advice about what to do if a dog approaches you. Ridiculous. I don't want my child approached by no dog at all. Okay, that's the society I want. Speaking of that, society does not cater to us. It only caters to dog lovers. And I'm tired of that. I want dog-free apartment complexes. I want dog-free neighborhoods. Entire portions of cities. Dog-free. Y'all gonna have to start catering to us. This is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't want my child approached by no dog at all. If he or she is approached, he or she is in grave danger. I don't want my child in grave danger. You think I'm supposed to find comfort in telling them to be a tree, be a rock, ball up, cover their neck? Wow. You don't entertain discussions like this, people. You get up and leave the room. What if a dog bites your child? I skimmed over this yesterday. It is very foolish. Dog bite can seem minor on the surface. What are you talking about? And you don't even deal with severe attacks. Why on earth would you simply assume that all dog attacks are going to involve a minor bite? Why would you? Who would do that? And how can a team of professionals do that? You would only do that if you deliberately tried to con the people. There are over 800,000 people who need emergency care treatment every year in the United States alone. That's not a minor bite. And if you're going to give advice on what to do, you should target that advice to at least to that crowd of people. You're talking about people who don't even need to go to the hospital. Minor on the surface. Why would you give somebody advice on what to do for a little minor dog bite that don't even break the skin? Okay? You cannot be confused about why people object to this type of rhetoric, ma'am. Okay, now we're just supposed to pretend that all dog people, you know why I'm so offended. All the mutilated bodies that I've seen, and you want to deal with or suggest that all dog attacks are minor, that is horrible. That's just horrible, ma'am. To help the doctor understand, okay, your child's, this is crazy to me. This is crazy. Horrible little article that you've written here. It does not deal with reality at all. It is not in line with the dog attack reports that surface on a daily basis. I make series of videos where I only deal with dog attack reports. I'll probably make one here a little later tonight as well. Dog attacks always, talking about children, are all unprovoked. All of them. And any dog attack that involves a child trying to pet the dog or interact with the dog in any way at all, that cannot be the child's fault, because all of those children were groomed to interact with those dogs. Naturally, kids don't want to be around no dog. You have to socially condition them, and we all know that. Now, the writer left that comment on my channel, and then she deleted it. She said, Yeager didn't write this blog, I did, as you can see by the blog's byline. Now, this sounds like she didn't even listen to the entire video yet, sort of left the comment before she finished. Might be why she deleted it. She said, so if you have issues, feel free to email me rather than publicly criticizing a professional who was quoted in the blog. No, ma'am, I'm going to publicly criticize the professional who was quoted in the blog. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Right? That's called my constitutional right. This is a doctor. She put the information out there. As a doctor, what she says is supposed to carry more weight. Okay? So if what she says carries more weight, that's more of a burden on her to tell the truth, to give accurate information. If it's not accurate, she needs to be called out on it, and so do you. If you're regurgitating inaccurate information, you about just as guilty as she is. And I know you know full well it's inaccurate. Y'all need to own up to what you say and what you write. Your advice gets people hurt. The things you say and write gets people killed. Literally killed. You are sitting here, both you and her, basically suggesting that kids interact with dogs. That's literally what she did. Suggested that children walk up and touch dogs. There is no way to project that as safe. You can't try to say that this is a safe thing to do. Okay? There's no safe way to jump off a building or bridge. Okay? There's no safe way to jump into a pit of fire. There is no safe way for a child of all people to pet or interact with a dog. If a dog is within a few feet of a child, the child is in trouble. Their safety has been compromised. And that is what this dog culture specializes in, compromising people's safety. But children are at a higher risk because they're the least capable of fighting off a dog attack. They are at the highest risk. There's no way for you to sound like some just or morally superior person when you advocate such a dangerous environment for children. That is crazy. Like, what is really going through your head right now? I'm very curious. You know, sometimes, listen, I found the writer of that blog, Carly Kuchova. I found her Facebook, but I'm not going to air her out like that. I'm not going to do that. Let me just tell you, there are a few photos of dogs and only dogs, right? More than one dog. And there are several photos where she just took pictures of her own dogs. I didn't see any photos of her own family. Is that a coincidence? Quite often, I find the writers, the contributors of articles like this, I find that they are single, with no children, and I often wonder if they are the ones creating these memes, these anti-child memes and forums and coffee mugs, and dogs are better than kids. All these, do you like comments like that on social media? Sometimes I wonder, man, when you're childless and you are in love with dogs and have nothing but venom to spew about children, I have to scratch my head. I would not want to be a child growing up in a society like that. We need to reform our mind in this country, really in this world. All right, this is overboard, where you're flipping doctors are not only telling kids, hey, go up to those dogs and rub on them, but also telling them, hey, if it attacks you, it's your fault. That's literally what they're doing, people. And as these kids are being attacked for no reason, the adults standing around telling them, well, it was your fault. You did something. You provoked it. You know what else they do? They indirectly imply to those kids that they provoke the attack even if they don't know what they did to provoke it. And dog lovers share and believe that narrative as well. They believe that kids can provoke dogs without even being aware of it, where the child, him or herself, does not know what him or herself did, but they just did some kid stuff, and only the dog was able to pick up on it and want to attack in response to it. That is the type of rabbit hole that they create for dog owners. That's why dog owners have no problem always blaming kids for dog attacks. None of them care. You don't hear any doctors, you don't hear nobody coming out and saying, oh, look, whoa, what is this? Why are you always implying that kids provoke dog attacks when we never see them? When we have the video footage of the attacks, we never see them provoking the dogs. Why is it that every dog attack report in the news, they never detail that the child did anything to the dog? It's because they never do nothing to these dogs. Ma'am, I have a Twitter. Since you want to play that game, go look at it. Some of the most gruesome attacks, dog attacks on kids you've ever seen in your life. You will not see any of them provoked. None of them. You got YouTube. You responded on a YouTube video. Go Google dog attack on children. Every flipping attack is unprovoked, ma'am. I mean, did you not see that notorious historic dog attack on the child in the parking lot where the dog ran a few blocks, ran right past adults? That has happened a number of times now, where dogs will run right past adults and make a beeline to the child. Ma'am, this happens virtually every single time. So it's not like I'm nitpicking. You, the professionals, you are way off. Your information is not even close to accurate. So you need to be called out. You need to be criticized publicly. You are a public servant. You're a medical professional. You're a public servant. Don't tell us that we're somehow wrong for questioning the things, the information that you put out here. Now, again, I'm not trying to attack you or belittle you. Listen. That's not my style. What I want is a community that's dog free. That's what I want. I want a country that's dog free. Aside from the physical attacks, these are the most filthy, disease-ridden, bacteria, germ, virus, parasite-ridden creatures to ever exist on this earth. Right now, by far, they contaminate everything more than anything else contaminates it. I mean, literally nothing else besides pollution contaminates our air like dog excrement. These things are nothing but a burden to our very existence in several ways. Okay? And they need to be gotten rid of. And when you're talking about large dogs, it's never okay to suggest that kids go anywhere near dogs. Don't go anywhere near them. And if they bring one into your classroom, get up and walk out. Anybody says anything to you, you tell them dogs are dangerous. Dogs are dangerous. Just keep saying that. You just keep saying that. There's not a school principal, there's not a teacher who can do or say nothing to a child who is saying no, dogs are dangerous, because they all know it. What an assignment. What is wrong with me? Why on earth did I volunteer for this assignment? This can't be my calling. I'm supposed to be a dancer. Every day I cut a rug. I'm supposed to be on a stage somewhere, not lecturing these people. It was unfortunate. I'm like, okay, finally I get a response. And then that's the response. And not only that, she turned around and deleted it. Okay. Now I have to respond to a deleted comment. It is what it is. But as you can see, it's not in their best interest to respond to us. You know, I understand this response video from me is not going to help me if I want to get a response from these people. But this is an example of why they don't really respond, because they know that what we're talking about is true. And that's pretty historic. It's very historic. Unbelievable. You should have never allowed this to happen. You don't open the door for stuff like this. Now, the young people are going to grow up. They're going to know for a fact that we're the professionals, people who volunteered to do the study, to do the research and tell the truth. And they're going to all know that the official professionals are con artists. Damn, that is horrible. So if anyone else has a problem, and matter of fact, the writer of this article, Carly Kuchova, these are some of her dogs. I'm not going to show her, but this is her Facebook, and these are her dogs. Okay? No family, just dogs. And when you write about children, when it's time to talk about children, it's all negative. Why is this a pattern? This is a pattern. I'm not picking on this writer. This is a pattern. Every single time. And if they do have a family, the dog is at the forefront. Scary stuff, man. I cannot imagine how twisted this world's going to be 10 years from now. Hopefully we start getting, on the right path a lot sooner than later. You know what? I appreciate the fact that you responded. I feel like, that was a show of bravery. But that bravery went out the window when you deleted it. Not only should you not have deleted it, you should have made another post. Say something else. I want more. Look at how much content I'm giving to you all. Do you know, if you're trying to make an argument or anything like that, if you come up with a philosophy, a way of viewing the world, the more you talk, the more likely it is you're going to give people something to criticize. Well, look at my channels and look at how much I've been talking. Y'all haven't found nothing? You should have been able to build a huge case against me by now. Usually, the more you talk, the better chance it is you're going to say something dumb, something that don't make sense, something that's hypocritical. You're going to contradict yourself. Only if you're dealing with a con will that happen. That don't happen when you're dealing with the truth. And that's what these people know. These higher learned people, even if they're not higher learned, they understand that. Okay, so that's why we are victorious. This crusade is successful. It's just a matter of time now. Shout out to everybody able to join me for this response video. And the weekend is here, or usually on Friday, you can expect me to make a late night video, a late night return. Hopefully you all are still up and available, and we could chop it up a little more, get into some other things, aside from responding to journalists. And I hope to see you back on the next live stream as we continue with this crusade.